The Yadaran royal spaceship plummets from the sky, its sleek hull piercing the tranquil cornfields of rural Iowa. Princess Zara, a spoiled Yadaran alien, emerges from the wreckage, her iridescent blue skin shimmering in the sunlight. Standing 7 feet tall with 4 arms, she surveys the damage and immediately demands, "I require breeding with attractive human males. Bring them to me at once." Billy Lewis, a 25-year-old farmhand, investigates the crash site, his curiosity overriding caution. As he approaches, Princess Zara's eyes lock onto him. She points a slender finger in his direction and declares, You shall be my first breeding material." Taken aback, Billy retreats as Zara advances. "Now hold on a minute," he stammers, hands raised defensively. "I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not interested." Zara's face contorts with rage. She stomps her foot, causing the ground to shake. "How dare you refuse me? I am Princess Zara of Yadara. You should be honored." The commotion attracts the attention of other Yadaran princesses who emerge from the ship. They too fix their gaze on Billy and the other male farmhands arriving at the scene. The aliens begin to chase the humans across the farmland, their long legs allowing them to close the distance quickly. Sheriff John Hawkins receives reports of the crash and alien sightings. He arrives to find chaos unfolding across the cornfields. Alien princesses pursue fleeing farmhands, their demands for breeding echoing across the landscape. Hawkins attempts to establish order, but the entitled Yadaran royalty overwhelm him with their persistence and sheer numbers. Billy seeks refuge in a nearby barn, his heart pounding. Inside, he encounters Dr. Emily Chen, a xenobiologist secretly working for the government. Her eyes wide with excitement, she explains, "The Yadarans are an advanced alien race facing extinction. A genetic defect has rendered their males infertile. They've come to Earth seeking human DNA to save their species." As Billy processes this information, the barn door bursts open. Princess Zara stands there, her forearms akimbo. "Found you," she purrs, advancing on Billy. Dr. Chen steps between them. "Princess, please. We need to discuss this calmly. Your behavior is causing significant problems." Zara scoffs. "Problems? The only problem is this human's refusal to breed with me." Suddenly, the sky darkens. Billy, Dr. Chen, and Princess Zara rush outside to see more Yadaran ships appearing in the atmosphere. The situation is escalating rapidly. In the distance, the rumble of military vehicles announces the arrival of the U.S. Army, led by General Marcus Steele. As soldiers pour out of trucks and helicopters circle overhead, Billy realizes he's caught in the middle of a potential interstellar incident. Princess Zara grabs Billy's arm, pulling him close. "You're coming with me," she insists. "Our species depends on it." Billy feels torn. The alien princess, despite her entitled behavior, is undeniably attractive, yet he can't ignore the potential threat to Earth. As tensions mount between the two races, Billy knows his next actions could determine the fate of both humanity and the Yadaran species. The cornfields of Iowa have become ground zero for an unprecedented encounter, with Billy Lewis, a simple farmhand, thrust into the role of reluctant diplomat between two worlds. As more Yadaran princesses descend and the military prepares for potential conflict, the future hangs in the balance, hinging on the outcome of this bizarre alien proposal. Billy's heart raced as Princess Zara's grip tightened on his arm. The chaos around them intensified, with military vehicles rumbling closer and more Yadaran ships descending from the sky. In that moment of crisis, Dr. Emily Chen stepped forward, her voice cutting through the din. "Wait," she called out, addressing both Billy and Princess Zara. "There's a better way to handle this. Princess, may we speak with you privately?" Zara's luminescent eyes narrowed, but curiosity flickered across her features. She loosened her hold on Billy, allowing him to step back. "Very well, human. You have my attention." Dr. Chen gestured towards a nearby section of untrammeled cornfield. "Let's move away from this commotion. Billy, please join us." The unlikely trio made their way through the tall stalks, the sounds of panic and confusion fading behind them. When they reached a small clearing, Dr. Chen turned to face the alien princess. "Princess Zara," she began, her tone respectful yet firm, "I understand your species is facing a crisis, but your current approach is causing significant problems. On Earth, we have customs and laws regarding personal relationships and reproduction. Zara's antenna twitched with irritation. Your primitive customs are irrelevant. We need genetic material to save our species. Billy, finding his voice, chimed in. But that's just it, Your Highness. Humans. We can't just breed on command. It's not how we do things. Dr. Chen nodded, building on Billy's point. In our culture, we have courtship rituals. We build emotional connections before considering physical intimacy or reproduction. Princess Zara's expression shifted from annoyance to intrigue. Courtship rituals? Explain this concept. As Dr. Chen delved into a brief explanation of human dating practices, Billy noticed a change in Zara's demeanor. The alien princess's aggressive stance softened, her forearms relaxing at her sides. This courtship, Zara said slowly, testing the word. It intrigues me. Perhaps there is merit in understanding your species better before proceeding with our plans. Billy seized the opportunity. I could show you, Your Highness, teach you about our ways, if you're willing to learn. Zara considered for a moment, then nodded. Very well, I will suspend our current tactics, on the condition that you, Billy, educate me about these human courtship rituals. As this agreement was reached, the distant sound of helicopters grew louder. General Marcus Steele had arrived with a full military contingent. The general, an imposing figure in his crisp uniform, strode purposefully towards the crashed Yadaran ship. Dr. Chen turned to Billy and Zara. I need to speak with General Steele and the Yadaran leadership. Billy, why don't you start those lessons now? As Dr. Chen hurried off, Billy found himself alone with Princess Zara. He cleared his throat nervously. So, would you like a tour of the farm? Zara nodded, her iridescent skin shimmering in the sunlight. Lead on, human. Show me this world of yours. As they walked through the cornfields, Billy pointed out various features of the farm. He explained the growth cycle of corn, the importance of soil health, and the rhythm of farm life. Zara listened with growing fascination, her four eyes wide as she absorbed the information. Your world is so alive, she marveled, running a slender blue hand along a cornstalk. On Yadara, much of our environment is artificial. We've lost touch with nature. Billy smiled, encouraged by her interest. There's beauty in the simplest things here. Look at this. He knelt down and gently brushed away some soil, revealing an earthworm wriggling in the dirt. Zara crouched beside him, her face inches from the ground. This tiny creature helps keep the soil healthy, Billy explained. Everything here is connected, working together. As they continued their tour, Billy found himself relaxing in Zara's presence. Her initial haughtiness had given way to genuine curiosity. She asked intelligent questions and seemed truly interested in learning about Earth. Meanwhile, back at the crash site, General Steele engaged in tense negotiations with the Yadaran leadership. Dr. Chen stood nearby, offering scientific insight when needed. We understand your situation, Steele said gruffly, but we can't allow you to simply abduct our citizens for breeding. The Yadaran leader, a regal figure with shimmering purple skin, nodded gravely. We apologize for our initial approach. It was born of desperation. What do you propose? Dr. Chen stepped forward. General, if I may, I believe a controlled voluntary breeding program could be a solution. We could oversee it scientifically, ensuring safety for both species. As discussions continued, a news van screeched to a halt at the edge of the cornfield. Sarah Johnson, an ambitious reporter known for her sensationalist stories, leapt out with her camera crew. This is Sarah Johnson, reporting live from what could be the most significant event in human history, she announced breathlessly into her microphone. Alien invaders have landed in rural Iowa, demanding to breed with humans. Is this the end of humanity as we know it? Her hyperbolic report quickly went viral, spreading across social media platforms and news networks worldwide. As panic began to grip the general public, the stakes of the negotiations at the farm grew even higher. Unaware of the escalating situation, Billy and Zara had made their way to a small pond on the edge of the property. They sat on the bank, watching the sun begin to set over the water. On Yadara, we don't have open bodies of water like this, Zara said softly. It's beautiful. Billy nodded, acutely aware of how close she was sitting. Yeah, it is. I come here sometimes to think, or just to enjoy the quiet. Zara turned to him, her eyes reflecting the orange glow of the sunset. Billy, I believe I'm beginning to understand what you meant about emotional connections. This experience, learning about your world, it's affecting me in ways I didn't expect. As they gazed at each other, the air seemed to crackle with unspoken tension. Slowly, hesitantly, Zara leaned in. Her lips met Billy's in a tender, exploratory kiss. The kiss lasted only a moment, but when they parted, both felt profoundly changed. Zara's skin glowed with a new intensity, while Billy felt a warmth spreading through his chest. That was unexpected, Billy murmured, a smile tugging at his lips. Zara nodded, her antennae quivering slightly. Indeed, I believe I now understand the value of your courtship rituals. As they sat in comfortable silence, neither noticed the multiple sets of eyes watching them from various vantage points. Dr. Chen observed from a distance, hope blossoming in her chest. Princess Cora, Zara's older sister, glared from behind a nearby tree, her face contorted with disgust, and Sarah Johnson's camera operator zoomed in on the interspecies couple, capturing footage that would soon shock the world. In the growing darkness, the seeds of both conflict and cooperation had been sown. The actions of Billy and Zara in the coming hours would play a crucial role in shaping the future of human-Yadaran relations. As night fell over the Iowa cornfields, the stage was set for a clash of cultures, ideologies, and species that would change the course of history. As night fell over the Iowa cornfields, the stage was set for a clash of cultures, ideologies, and species that would change the course of human history. The peaceful evening Billy and Zara had shared by the pond seemed a distant memory as the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, bringing with them a storm of chaos and violence. A thunderous explosion jolted Billy and Zara awake. They scrambled to their feet, hearts pounding as the sounds of conflict echoed across the farmland. In the distance, plumes of smoke rose from the Yadaran ships, now under attack from an unexpected source. What's happening? Zara gasped, her four eyes wide with alarm. Billy squinted into the distance, his face pale. I don't know, but we need to get out of here. Taking Zara's hand, Billy led her through the cornfields, using his intimate knowledge of the terrain to avoid the worst of the fighting. They ducked and weaved through the tall stalks, the sounds of energy weapons and human firearms growing ever closer. As they emerged from the cornfield, they witnessed the full extent of the chaos. General Steele's troops were engaged in a three-way battle, trying to contain a group of armed humans while also defending against a faction of Yadaran princesses who had taken control of part of their crashed ship. "That's my sister Cora!" Zara exclaimed, pointing to a purple-skinned Yadaran wielding an energy weapon. "What is she doing?" Before Billy could respond, a stray energy blast struck the ground near their feet, sending them scrambling for cover behind an overturned tractor. As they huddled together, the air filled with the acrid smell of burning corn and the shouts of both humans and Yadarans. Nearby, Dr. Emily Chen was frantically trying to maintain order at the hastily established breeding program facility. "Please, everyone remain calm," she shouted over the din. "We need to evacuate in an orderly fashion." General Steele's voice boomed through a megaphone. "All civilians, clear the area immediately. This is not a drill." Amidst the chaos, Sarah Johnson's news van screeched to a halt at the edge of the battlefield. The ambitious reporter leapt out, microphone in hand, her camera operator struggling to keep up. "This is Sarah Johnson, reporting live from what can only be described as an interstellar war zone," she announced breathlessly. "Alien technology clashes with human firearms as—" Her broadcast was cut short as a Yadaran energy blast struck the news van, sending sparks flying and knocking Sarah to the ground. Billy and Zara watched in horror as the injured reporter was dragged to safety by her camera operator. The sky suddenly darkened, casting an eerie shadow over the battlefield. All eyes turned upward as a massive ship, dwarfing even the Yadaran vessels, appeared above them. Its sleek metallic surface gleamed in the morning sun, a silent testament to advanced technology beyond human or Yadaran capabilities. A booming voice echoed across the cornfields, seeming to come from everywhere at once. This is Admiral Xanthor of the Galactic Federation. Cease hostilities immediately or face the consequences. The effect was instantaneous. Energy weapons powered down, human firearms fell silent, and an uneasy stillness settled over the battlefield. General Steele lowered his megaphone, his face a mix of relief and apprehension. As the fighting subsided, Billy and Zara emerged from their hiding place. They surveyed the scene before them, taking in the devastation that had befallen the once peaceful farmland. Scorched earth, broken equipment, and injured combatants from both sides lay scattered across the field. "This is all wrong," Zara murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "This isn't what we came here for." Billy squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Maybe we can still make this right. Come on." Together they made their way towards the center of the battlefield, where Admiral Xanthor's ship had begun to descend. As they approached, they saw General Steele and the remaining Yadaran leadership gathering for what promised to be a tense negotiation. The ship's landing ramp extended, touching down on the scorched earth. A tall, imposing figure emerged, Admiral Xanthor, his iridescent scales shimmering in the morning light. His forearms were folded across his chest, and his compound eyes surveyed the scene with a mix of disappointment and grit. "Representatives of Earth and Yadara," Xanthor's voice resonated across the field. "Your actions have drawn the attention of the Galactic Federation. It is clear that neither of your species is prepared for the responsibilities of interstellar relations." As the Admiral spoke, Billy noticed movement from the corners of his eyes. Princess Cora was being led away in restraints by Yadaran guards, while a group of human soldiers escorted a man Billy recognized as Joe Benson, a local known for his xenophobic views. Xanthor continued, "However, we are willing to mediate negotiations between your peoples. The future of your species' relationship and your place in the galactic community hangs in the balance." Billy and Zara exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They stepped forward, approaching the gathered leaders. "Admiral Xanthor," Billy called out, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "If I may, I think we have something to contribute to these negotiations." All eyes turned to the unlikely pair, a human farmhand and a Yadaran princess. As they stood before the assembled leaders of three worlds, Billy and Zara prepared to share their story, hoping that their budding relationship might serve as a model for cooperation between their species. The fate of Earth and Yadara hung in the balance as the negotiations began, with the looming presence of the Galactic Federation ship serving as a constant reminder of the vastness of the universe and the challenges that lay ahead. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance as the negotiations began, with the looming presence of the Galactic Federation ship serving as a constant reminder of the vastness of the universe and the challenges that lay ahead. Admiral Xanthor's massive ship touched down on the scorched earth, its landing struts sinking into the soft soil. A team of Federation personnel quickly erected a temporary structure nearby, its translucent walls shimmering with an otherworldly energy field. Within hours, the hastily constructed diplomatic compound was ready to host the most significant negotiations in human history. General Marcus Steele straightened his uniform as he entered the compound, his weathered face set in a mask of commitment. The remaining Yadaran leadership followed, their shimmering skin reflecting the artificial light within the structure. Admiral Xanthor took his place at the head of the long oval table, his forearms gesturing for everyone to be seated. "Billy, Zara," the Admiral's resonant voice called out, "please join us. Your unique perspective may prove invaluable in these discussions." The unlikely couple exchanged a glance before taking their seats. Billy's calloused hands fidgeted nervously, a stark contrast to Zara's composed demeanor. As the talks began, the air grew thick with tension, each side presenting their case with carefully chosen words. Hours into the negotiations, a disturbing trend became apparent. Several Yadaran delegates began to show signs of respiratory distress, their breathing labored and skin losing its luster. Dr. Emily Chen, who had been observing from a corner of the room, rushed to their aid. "We need to adjourn," she announced, her voice cutting through the diplomatic chatter. "The Yadaran physiology is reacting negatively to Earth's atmosphere. I need to run some tests immediately." As the Yadaran delegates were escorted to a makeshift medical bay, Billy noticed Zara's antennae drooping slightly. "Are you okay?" he whispered. Concern etched on his face. Zara nodded, but her usual vibrant color had dulled. "I'm fine, but I fear for my people. If we can't breathe your air—" Their conversation was cut short by a commotion outside. Through the compound's transparent walls, they could see a group of humans gathering, their faces contorted with fear and anger. At the forefront stood Joe Benson, his recent escape from custody evidently successful. "Go home, alien scum!" Benson's voice carried through the walls, amplified by a megaphone. "We won't let you take our planet!" General Steele cursed under his breath, reaching for his communication device to call for reinforcements. But before he could act, the compound's lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. In the confusion that followed, Billy felt Zara's hand slip from his grasp. He called out her name, but his voice was lost in the cacophony of shouts and the sound of breaking glass. The attack had begun. Billy's farmhand instincts kicked in as he navigated the darkened room by feel. He bumped into a group of panicking diplomats and made a split-second decision. "Follow me," he commanded, guiding them towards a side exit he had noticed earlier. As they emerged into the fading daylight, Billy saw Zara across the compound yard. She moved with fluid grace, her combat training evident as she fended off attackers with swift, precise movements. Their eyes met briefly, a silent acknowledgement passing between them, before they were forced to turn their attention back to the chaos around them. The sky lit up as the Galactic Federation ship deployed its peacekeeping forces. Sleek, metallic figures descended on streams of blue energy, their advanced weaponry making quick work of the human militia and rogue Yadarans alike. In the aftermath of the attack, Billy found Zara tending to an injured human diplomat. Her 4 eyes were filled with concern as she applied pressure to a wound on the man's arm. The sight of their cooperation, even in this moment of crisis, stood in stark contrast to the destruction around them. Admiral Xanthor surveyed the scene, his compound eyes reflecting the smoldering remains of the diplomatic compound. "This cannot continue," he declared, his voice heavy with disappointment. "The Federation had high hopes for this first contact, but it seems both your species still have much to learn." As the dust settled, General Steele and the Yadaran leadership retreated to their respective camps, trust shattered and the possibility of peaceful coexistence seeming more distant than ever. Billy and Zara stood together, their hands intertwined, a living symbol of what could be if only their people could move past their fears and prejudices. Admiral Xanthor approached the couple, his towering form casting a long shadow in the setting sun. "Perhaps," he mused, "the solution lies not on this planet, but among the stars themselves." Billy and Zara looked up at the Admiral, curiosity mingling with apprehension in their eyes. As night fell over the battered Iowa landscape, the first glimmers of a new plan began to take shape, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. Universe and their roles within it. Admiral Xanthor's words hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Billy and Zara exchanged a look of confusion and curiosity as the Admiral continued. "We propose the construction of a neutral space station in Earth's orbit, a place where humans and Yadarans can coexist, learn from each other, and work towards a shared future." The announcement sent shockwaves through both camps. General Steele's brow furrowed as he considered the implications, while the Yadaran leadership whispered among themselves, their antennae twitching with excitement and apprehension. In the days that followed, the Galactic Federation's proposal dominated global headlines. News broadcasts showed renderings of the massive space station, dubbed Harmony, its sleek design a blend of human and Yadaran aesthetics. Nations around the world scrambled to contribute resources and expertise to the project, recognizing it as humanity's first step into a larger galactic community. As construction began in orbit, Billy and Zara found themselves at the center of an unprecedented selection process. They had volunteered to be among Harmony's first inhabitants, a decision that thrust them into a whirlwind of medical examinations and psychological evaluations. Dr. Emily Chen, now heading a team of xenobiologists, oversaw their test with keen interest. "Your physiological responses to each other are fascinating," she remarked, studying a holographic display of their vital signs. We're seeing changes at the cellular level that we've never observed before in either species. Billy shifted uncomfortably on the examination table, the cold metal a stark contrast to the warmth of Zara's hand in his. "What does that mean for us?" he asked, a hint of worry in his voice. Dr. Chen's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "It means you're pioneers in more ways than one. Your bond could be the key to long-term human-Yadaran coexistence." As Billy and Zara underwent their evaluations, Iowa became the epicenter of a new gold rush. The discovery of a rare mineral that stabilized Yadaran physiology in Earth's atmosphere set off a frenzy of prospecting and land grabs. Billy's family farm, once a quiet expanse of corn and soybeans, now buzzed with the sound of survey equipment and the chatter of eager geologists. Billy's father, John, stood at the edge of their property, watching as corporate representatives argued with government officials over drilling rights. "Never thought I'd see the day," he muttered, shaking his head. "Aliens in the cornfields, and now this." The influx of interest in Iowa's newfound wealth brought its own set of challenges. General Steele, recognizing the strategic importance of the mineral, implemented strict regulations on its extraction and distribution. His decision put him at odds with both the Yadaran leadership and Earth's governments, all of whom demanded unrestricted access to the resource. In orbit, harmony began to take shape. The first modules hummed with activity as carefully selected teams of human and Yadaran researchers moved in. Dr. Chen established her xenobiology lab in one of the station's science wings, eager to continue her groundbreaking work in a zero-gravity environment. Back on Earth, tensions simmered beneath the surface of progress. Joe Benson's disappearance after the attack on the diplomatic compound fueled fears of an underground resistance movement. Reports of human supremacist cells targeting Yadarans and their sympathizers trickled in from around the globe, prompting increased security measures and a growing sense of unease among both species. Princess Cora, still in Federation custody, underwent a series of interviews with alien psychologists. Her sessions revealed deep-seated fears within Yadaran culture, shedding light on the aggressive behavior some had displayed towards humans. "We were taught that strength was the only way to survive in the universe," she confessed during one session. "But now I see there might be another way." As Billy and Zara's departure for Harmony drew near, they found themselves under increasing scrutiny. Their relationship, once a private matter, had become a subject of global debate. Media outlets dissected their every interaction, analyzing what it meant for the future of human-Yadaran relations. The pressure took its toll. One evening, as they sat in the quiet of Billy's family barn, Zara's antennae drooped with fatigue. "Sometimes I wonder if we're doing the right thing," she whispered. Billy pulled her close, feeling the gentle thrum of her alien heartbeat against his chest. "We're showing them it's possible," he said softly. "That has to count for something." Their moment of peace was interrupted by a commotion outside. They emerged from the barn to find a group of couples, human and Yadaran pairs, gathered in the farmyard. One of the humans, a woman named Rachel, stepped forward. "We heard about you too," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We've been hiding, afraid of what others might think. But seeing you stand up for your love, it gave us courage." The emergence of these couples sent shockwaves through both human and Yadaran societies. Debates raged about the implications of interspecies relationships, with opinions ranging from enthusiastic support to vehement opposition. Admiral Xanthor, observing the complexities of the situation, proposed an expansion of the Harmony Project. In a meeting with Earth's leaders and Yadaran representatives, he outlined plans for additional specialized habitats. "We must create spaces that cater to the unique needs of both species," he explained, his compound eyes reflecting the holographic displays of the proposed structures. As the first anniversary of the Yadaran arrival approached, preparations began for a symbolic ceremony aboard Harmony. The event was meant to showcase the progress made in human-Yadaran relations and officially inaugurate the space station as a shared home for both species. However, intelligence reports hinted at potential threats from both human supremacist groups and Yadaran purists. General Steele found himself in the unfamiliar position of coordinating security efforts with Yadaran forces, their previous animosity set aside in the face of a common enemy. The day of Billy and Zara's departure arrived, marked by a media frenzy. Crowds gathered at the launch site, a mix of supporters and protesters held back by security cordons. As the couple made their way to the shuttle, hands clasped tightly, the air buzzed with the energy of a pivotal moment in history. Standing at the foot of the launch pad, Billy took one last look at the Iowa sky, the same sky that had witnessed the arrival of the Yatarans just a year ago. Now it would see him leave his home planet, embarking on a journey that would shape the future of two species. As the shuttle's engines roared to life, Billy and Zara settled into their seats, their eyes locked on each other. They were no longer just two individuals in love. They had become symbols of a new era, carrying the hopes and fears of both humans and Yatarans as they ascended toward the stars. The shuttle broke through the atmosphere, leaving behind a world forever changed by the events of the past year. Ahead lay Harmony, a gleaming beacon of possibility in the vast expanse of space. As Earth shrank to a blue marble behind them, Billy and Zara faced the unknown, ready to write the next chapter in the story of human-Yataran relations. The shuttle docked smoothly with Harmony, its sleek form nestling into the station's embrace. As the airlock cycled, Billy and Zara exchanged a nervous glance before stepping into their new home. The station's interior was a marvel of human and Yataran engineering, its corridors lined with a blend of earth plants and Yataran bioluminescent flora. Dr. Emily Chen greeted them at the entrance to the habitation ring, her eyes bright with excitement. "Welcome to Harmony," she said, gesturing at the bustling hallway behind her. "You're just in time for the inaugural ceremony." As they followed Dr. Chen through the station, Billy marveled at the diverse mix of humans and Yatarans working side by side. The air hummed with a mix of human languages and the melodic clicks of Yataran speech. It was a far cry from the tense atmosphere they'd left behind on Earth. The ceremony was held in Harmony's central atrium, a vast space dominated by a holographic projection of Earth and Yatara orbiting each other. Billy and Zara found themselves at the center of attention as they took their places on the stage, flanked by Admiral Xanthor and General Marcus Steele. As the ceremony began, Billy felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He and Zara were no longer just two individuals in love. They were ambassadors for a new era of cooperation. The audience was a sea of faces, human and Yataran, watching with a mix of hope and apprehension. Admiral Xanthor stepped forward, his compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. "Today, we celebrate not just the completion of Harmony, but the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history," he intoned, his translator rendering his words in multiple languages. As the Admiral spoke, Billy noticed a ripple of unease pass through the Yataran portion of the audience. Several of them seemed to be swaying slightly, their antennae drooping. He leaned closer to Zara, whispering, "Is everything okay?" Before she could answer, Dr. Chen took the stage. Her presentation on human Yataran compatibility captivated the audience, but Billy's attention was divided between her words and the increasingly distressed Yatarans in the crowd. "Our research has revealed something extraordinary," Dr. Chen announced, her voice filled with nearly unleashed excitement. "Contrary to our initial beliefs, successful reproduction between humans and Yatarans is possible with medical intervention." A murmur rippled through the audience, a mix of shock, excitement, and concern. Billy felt Zara's hand tighten in his, her four eyes wide with surprise. The implications of Dr. Chen's announcement were staggering, and Billy could already see the seeds of debate taking root among the assembled dignitaries. As the ceremony continued, the situation among the Yataran attendees worsened. One collapsed, his body convulsing. Panic spread through the crowd as more Yatarans began to show signs of distress. Dr. Chen rushed from the stage, her scientific curiosity overtaken by medical urgency. "We need to get them to the medical bay," she shouted, already kneeling beside the fallen Yataran. Billy and Zara sprang into action, helping to guide the affected Yatarans towards the medical facilities. As they worked, Billy couldn't help but notice the fear in the eyes of the human residents. Some were already backing away, calling for quarantine measures. In the chaos, Admiral Xanthor's voice cut through the noise. "Remain calm," he commanded. "This station was built to handle emergencies. We will overcome this challenge together." As the medical crisis unfolded on Harmony, news arrived from Earth that shattered the fragile peace. Joe Benson, long thought to be in hiding, had resurfaced with a vengeance. Coordinated attacks on Yadaran diplomatic outposts in major cities around the globe had left a trail of destruction and casualties. General Steele's face hardened as he received the report. "This changes everything," he muttered, his eyes darting between the ailing Yadarans and the holographic display of Earth, now showing scenes of chaos. Billy and Zara found themselves caught in the middle of the escalating crisis. As they helped tend to the sick Yadarans, they could hear the heated arguments breaking out among the station's residents. Accusations of sabotage flew from both sides, threatening to undo months of careful diplomacy. "We need to do something," Zara said, her voice strained with worry. "If we can't maintain peace here on Harmony, what hope is there for Earth and Yadera?" Before Billy could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Admiral Xanthor's voice came over the intercom, steady but urgent. "Attention all residents of Harmony. We are initiating emergency protocols. As of this moment, the station is under Galactic Federation control." The announcement sent shockwaves through the station. Human and Yadaran officials protested, but the Admiral's decision was final. As Federation peacekeepers moved to secure key areas of Harmony, Billy and Zara exchanged a look of willpower. Their work as ambassadors of cooperation had just become more crucial than ever. Amidst the chaos, a new alert sounded. An unidentified ship had appeared near Earth, broadcasting a message that would change everything. The newcomers called themselves the Zorax, claiming to be the original creators of both humans and Yadarans. As the message played throughout Harmony, Billy felt a chill run down his spine. He looked at Zara, saw the same mix of confusion and awe in her eyes. The universe as they knew it was about to change, and they were at the heart of it all. Dr. Chen burst into the room, her face flushed with excitement and fear. "Billy, Zara, I need you both in my lab immediately," she said breathlessly. I think your relationship might be the key to understanding everything that's happening." As they followed Dr. Chen, leaving behind a station in turmoil, Billy couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The Zorax's arrival, the illness affecting the Yadarans, the violence on Earth. It all seemed to be converging on this moment. The lab doors hissed shut behind them, sealing them in with Dr. Chen's equipment and the weight of countless unanswered questions. Whatever came next would shape the future of not just two species, but potentially the entire galaxy. As Billy and Zara followed Dr. Chen into her lab, the station's intercom crackled to life once more. "Attention all personnel," Admiral Xanthor's voice resonated through the corridors. "We have received word that an unidentified vessel is approaching Harmony. All non-essential staff are to report to their designated safe zones immediately." The lab doors sealed behind them with a pneumatic hiss, muffling the sounds of commotion outside. Dr. Chen's fingers flew across a series of holographic displays, bringing up streams of data and images. "We don't have much time," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "The Zorax ship will be docking soon, and I need to show you something before they arrive." A three-dimensional model of intertwined DNA strands appeared above the central workstation. Billy squinted at the complex structure, trying to make sense of the swirling patterns. "This," Dr. Chen explained, pointing to specific segments, "is a composite of your genetic material. What you're seeing here is unprecedented, a perfect fusion of human and Yadaran DNA." Zara leaned in closer, her four eyes widening. "But how is that possible? Our species evolved on different planets." Before Dr. Chen could answer, a tremor ran through the station. The lights flickered, and for a moment the lab was bathed in an eerie, pulsating glow from Zara's bioluminescent patches. "They're here," Billy murmured, feeling a chill run down his spine. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Billy and Zara watched from an observation deck as the Zorax ship, a massive structure that seemed to defy the laws of physics, docked with Harmony. The arrival of the Zorax delegation sent shockwaves through the station's population. Emissary Krelnax towered over the assembled dignitaries, his iridescent skin shifting colors in the station's artificial light. "We come in peace," his translator intoned, the words echoing in multiple languages, "to witness the fruition of our great experiment." As the diplomatic talks began, a new crisis erupted. Yatarans throughout the station began collapsing, their bodies racked with convulsions. Zara clutched Billy's arm, her skin pulsing with alarming intensity. "Billy," she gasped, "something's happening to me. I can hear everything. The station, the people, even the stars. It's all so loud." Dr. Chen rushed to their side, her medical scanner whirring. "It's starting," she said, her voice a mix of scientific fascination and genuine concern. "The dormant genes are activating. We need to get her to the medical bay immediately." As they made their way through the chaos-filled corridors, reports flooded in from Earth. Joe Benson's forces had launched a series of coordinated attacks on Yataran outposts, plunging major cities into war zones. General Steele's face appeared on the station's screens, grim and resolute as he announced the implementation of martial law. In the medical bay, Dr. Chen worked feverishly to stabilize Zara's condition. Billy paced nervously, torn between his concern for Zara and the escalating crisis around them. "I think I've found a way to slow the process," Dr. Chen announced, preparing a hypo spray. "But it's only temporary. We need a more permanent solution." As she administered the treatment, Admiral Xanthor entered the medical bay, his compound eyes reflecting the urgency of the situation. "Dr. Chen, we need answers. The Zorax are demanding access to your research, and we have reports of similar transformations occurring among Yatarans on Earth." Dr. Chen's eyes lit up with sudden realization. "Admiral, I think I know what's causing this. It's not a disease, it's an awakening. The Yataran genome is evolving, unlocking abilities that have been dormant for millennia." The Admiral's antennae twitched with interest. "And the Zorax, what role do they play in this?" Before Dr. Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A security breach had been detected in the main laboratory. On the monitors, they watched as a group of Zorax effortlessly overrode the lab's security systems. "They're after my research," Dr. Chen gasped. Billy looked at Zara, who was beginning to stir on the medical bed, then back at the Admiral. "What do we do now?" Admiral Xanthor's expression hardened. "We protect our people, and we find out what the Zorax are really after. Mr. Parker, I'm afraid your role in this conflict just became much more significant." As they prepared to confront the Zorax incursion, Billy couldn't shake the feeling that everything, his relationship with Zara, the future of human-Yataran relations, and perhaps the future of the stars itself, hinged on what would happen next. As Billy and Zara followed Dr. Chen into her lab, the weight of countless unanswered questions settled upon them. The doctor's fingers flew across holographic displays, bringing up streams of data and complex genetic models. "We don't have much time," Dr. Chen said, her voice tight with urgency. "I've been analyzing your genetic profiles, and what I've found is extraordinary." She gestured to a three-dimensional model of intertwined DNA strands, floating above the central workstation. Billy squinted at the complex structure, trying to make sense of the swirling patterns. "This is a composite of your genetic material," Dr. Chen explained, pointing to specific segments. "What you're seeing here is unprecedented, a perfect fusion of human and Yataran DNA." Zara leaned in closer, her four eyes widening. "But how is that possible? Our species evolved on different planets." Before Dr. Chen could answer, Admiral Xanthor's voice came over the intercom. "Dr. Chen, we need answers. The Zorax are demanding access to your research, and we have reports of similar transformations occurring among Yatarans on Earth." Dr. Chen's eyes lit up with sudden realization. "Admiral, I think I know what's causing this. It's not a disease, it's an awakening. The Yataran genome is evolving, unlocking abilities that have been dormant for millennia." She turned to Billy and Zara, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "I believe I can develop a treatment to stabilize these genetic changes, but I need your help. Would you be willing to volunteer as the first high-profile couple to undergo the full treatment process?" Billy and Zara exchanged a look, their hands intertwining. "We'll do it," Billy said firmly. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the treatment spread, global attention focused on Harmony Station. Dr. Chen and her team worked tirelessly, monitoring Billy and Zara as they underwent a series of carefully controlled physical contacts designed to stimulate their genetic compatibility. During one of the treatment sessions, Billy felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through his body. His muscles tensed, and he found himself lifting a heavy piece of medical equipment with surprising ease. "Incredible," Dr. Chen murmured, recording the data. "Your strength and reflexes have been enhanced far beyond normal human parameters." Zara, meanwhile, was experiencing changes of her own. Her antennae twitched constantly, picking up minute vibrations and electromagnetic frequencies that had previously been imperceptible. "I can sense everything," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "The hum of the station's engines, the heartbeats of everyone in this room. It's overwhelming." As the treatment progressed, more human Yadaran couples on Harmony volunteered to participate. Each pair developed unique enhancements, tailored to their individual genetic makeup. The success of the treatment created a new social dynamic on the station, with treated couples forming a distinct group within the population. On Earth, the situation remained tense. General Marcus Steele struggled to contain the escalating violence between human extremists and Yadaran defenders. In a desperate move, he requested assistance from the Galactic Federation. Admiral Xanthor's response was swift. Federation peacekeeping forces deployed to key conflict zones on Earth, their advanced technology and neutral stance helping to quell the worst of the fighting. However, the intervention was met with resistance from both human and Yadaran factions, who viewed it as a violation of planetary sovereignty. Back on Harmony, the Zorax delegation expressed great interest in the results of Billy and Zara's treatment. Emissary Krelnax requested permission to examine the couple, claiming their advanced knowledge could help perfect the stabilization process. Admiral Xanthor reluctantly agreed, but insisted on strict oversight. As Billy and Zara entered the examination room, they could feel the weight of the Zorax's alien gazes upon them. The examination was unlike anything they had experienced before. Strange instruments hummed and pulsed, scanning their bodies at a cellular level. The Zorax scientists muttered among themselves in their native language, their expressions unreadable. Suddenly, Zara gasped. Her eyes widened as she turned to Billy, her voice echoing in his mind. "Billy, I can hear you. In my head." Billy stared at her in shock, realizing he could sense her thoughts as well. This new ability allowed them to overhear the private deliberations of the Zorax, revealing their growing concern about the extent of the genetic changes. As the examination concluded, Emissary Krelnax abruptly left the room, requesting an urgent meeting with Admiral Xanthor and the station's leadership. Billy and Zara exchanged a worried glance, their newfound telepathic link buzzing with shared anxiety. They didn't have long to dwell on this development, however. As they exited the examination room, alarms blared throughout the station. On the nearby monitors, they watched in horror as news footage showed a daring attack on a major Earth-based research facility working on replicating Dr. Chen's treatment. The assault was led by none other than Joe Benson, his face contorted with rage, as he and his followers fought their way through the facility's defenses. Though the attack was ultimately repelled by a joint human Yadaran security force, Benson managed to escape with crucial data about the stabilization process. As chaos erupted on the station, Billy and Zara made their way to Dr. Chen's lab. They found the doctor frantically working at her console, her face pale with worry. "We need to warn you," Zara said urgently. "The Zorax, they're planning something to contain what they see as a threat." Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she absorbed this information. Without a word, she turned back to her console and began rapidly typing, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "What are you doing?" Billy asked, peering over her shoulder. "Ensuring our work can't be suppressed," Dr. Chen replied grimly. "I'm distributing the treatment data to trusted colleagues across Earth and other Federation worlds. Whatever happens next, this knowledge will survive." As they watched Dr. Chen work, a new alert sounded. The station's long-range sensors had detected something massive approaching the solar system at incredible speed. Admiral Xanthor's voice came over the intercom, tight with tension. "Attention, all personnel. An unidentified fleet has entered the system. They're broadcasting a message on all frequencies." The Admiral's voice was replaced by a new one, ancient and powerful, that seemed to resonate through the very fabric of the station. "The children have grown. We have returned to guide their ascension." Billy, Zara, and Dr. Chen exchanged looks of shock and apprehension. Whatever plans they had made, whatever conflicts were brewing between humans, Yadorans, and Zorax, all of it paled in comparison to this new development. The future of not just their species, but potentially the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. As the station erupted into frenzied activity, Billy took Zara's hand, their enhanced senses allowing them to feel the connection between them more strongly than ever. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Together. As they shared a determined look, the station rocked violently, nearly knocking them off their feet. "All hands, brace for impact!" Admiral Xanthor's voice boomed over the intercom. "Unknown vessels approaching at high velocity." Billy and Zara rushed to the nearest viewport, their enhanced senses allowing them to perceive the incoming fleet with startling clarity. The ships were unlike anything they had ever seen, massive, organic constructs that seemed to pulse with life, their surfaces shimmering with an otherworldly energy. "Those aren't ships," Zara gasped, her antennae twitching rapidly. "They're alive." As the bizarre fleet entered Earth's orbit, the station's sensors went haywire. Alarms blared, and holographic displays flickered with conflicting data. Dr. Chen furiously tapped at her console, trying to make sense of the readings. "These entities are generating gravitational distortions," she announced, her eyes wide with disbelief. "They're creating localized wormholes." The station shuddered again as the newcomer's message resonated through every speaker and communication device. "The children have grown. We have returned to guide their ascension." Chaos erupted on the station. Crew members scrambled to their posts while civilians huddled in fear. Admiral Xanthor's voice cut through the pandemonium, issuing rapid-fire orders to activate all defensive systems. In the midst of the frenzy, Emissary Krelnax burst into the lab, his compound eyes darting nervously. "We must speak with the Admiral immediately," he insisted, his voice uncharacteristically strained. Billy and Zara exchanged a glance, their newfound telepathic link humming with shared suspicion. Without a word, they followed the Zorax emissary to the command center. Admiral Xanthor stood at the center of a storm of activity, his antennae twitching as he coordinated the station's response. He turned to face them as they entered, his expression grave. "Emissary Krelnax, explain," he demanded. The Zorax hesitated, then spoke in a rush. "They are the Progenitors, the ancient beings who seeded life throughout the galaxy. We merely continued their work." A stunned silence fell over the command center. Billy felt a surge of anger and betrayal through his link with Zara. The Zorax had claimed to be the creators of both their species, and now this revelation threatened to upend everything they thought they knew. Before anyone could respond, a new transmission filled the air. The Progenitors' message was clearer now, explaining their return to evaluate the progress of their children, all the species they had seeded, including humans and Yadorans. As the implications of this announcement sank in, reports began flooding in from Earth. General Marcus Steele's face appeared on the main view screen, his expression a mix of awe and terror. "The planet is changing," he reported, his voice tight with tension. "Plants are growing at impossible rates. Entire ecosystems are transforming before our eyes." Footage from the surface showed trees reaching skyscraper heights in minutes, fields of crops mutating into unrecognizable forms. Panic was spreading through cities worldwide as people fled the rapidly encroaching vegetation. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Chen made a startling discovery. The genetic changes in the treated couples, they're not stabilizing, they're evolving. She pulled up a holographic display of Billy and Zara's DNA, showing rapid, real-time mutations. "You're both continuing to change, to adapt. It's as if the treatment unlocked a hidden potential in your genes." As if on cue, Billy felt a strange tingling sensation throughout his body. He looked down at his hands, watching in amazement as faint lines of energy coursed beneath his skin. Beside him, Zara gasped as her antennae began to glow with a soft, pulsing light. Similar reports came in from other treated couples on the station. Some were developing energy manipulation abilities, while others exhibited advanced cognitive functions. The evolution that should have taken millennia was happening in a matter of hours. Admiral Xanthor, taking in the rapidly evolving situation, made a decisive call. "We need to establish communication with these progenitors. They may be the only ones who can explain what's happening to our people. He turned to Billy and Zara, his compound eyes reflecting the gravity of the moment. As our most successfully bonded human Yadaran pair, and given your unique abilities, I'm appointing you as our primary intermediaries. You'll meet with the progenitor representatives. The weight of this responsibility settled heavily on the couple. They nodded, their telepathic link buzzing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. As preparations for the meeting began, a new crisis emerged. Reports from Earth indicated that Joe Benson's human supremacist group had managed to replicate Dr. Chen's treatment, but with disastrous results. Their followers were mutating uncontrollably, their unstable abilities wreaking havoc in major cities. The Galactic Federation, caught off guard by the rapid succession of events, convened an emergency council. Admiral Xanthor found himself arguing for caution, warning against hasty intervention that could have unforeseen consequences for multiple species. As the progenitors' organic vessels approached Harmony Station, the atmosphere grew tense. Humans, Yadarans, and Zorax alike watched with breathless expectation as the massive, pulsating forms drew near. Billy and Zara stood at the forefront of the welcoming committee, their hands clasped tightly together. Through their mental link, they shared their fears, hopes, and tenacity. Whatever came next, they would face it as one. The docking bay doors began to open, revealing a shimmering, otherworldly light. As the progenitor representatives prepared to board, Billy and Zara steeled themselves for an encounter that would reshape their understanding of life in the universe and potentially herald the birth of a new hybrid species. The future of multiple civilizations now rested on their shoulders, and the next few moments would determine the course of galactic history. The docking bay doors parted, bathing the welcoming committee in ethereal light. Billy and Zara stood at the forefront, their hands intertwined, as the progenitor representatives glided into the station. The beings towered over the assembled crowd, their forms shimmering with awe-inspiring energy. Admiral Xanthor stepped forward, his antenna twitching nervously. On behalf of the Galactic Federation, we welcome you to Harmony Station. The progenitor's response resonated through the minds of all present, bypassing spoken language entirely. We come to evaluate our children's progress. As the delegation moved to the main hall, Billy and Zara took their positions as intermediaries. Their enhanced senses buzzed with the tension permeating the room. Representatives from Earth, Yadera, and the Zorax civilization filled the space, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. The lead progenitor, a being of swirling golden light, addressed the assembly. Eons ago, we seeded life throughout this galaxy. Now, we return to guide your ascension. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Billy felt Zara's confusion through their mental link. Ascension? The progenitor continued. Your species have reached a crucial juncture. The recent genetic developments have accelerated your evolution beyond our initial projections. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her voice steady despite her obvious nervousness. You're referring to the treatment we developed? Indeed, the progenitor replied. It has unlocked potential we did not anticipate. We are particularly interested in the human Yadaran hybrid experiment. All eyes turned to Billy and Zara. Through their mental link, they sensed underlying currents of fear, hope, and something else. Zara's antennae twitched as she picked up on a subtle shift in the Zorax delegate's demeanor. They're hiding something, Billy thought to her. Before they could investigate further, alarms blared throughout the station. Admiral Xanthor rushed to a nearby console, his compound eyes widening in alarm. Intruders in the lower decks, he announced. It's Joe Benson and his followers. They've breached our defenses. Chaos erupted in the hall. The progenitors remained eerily calm, observing the unfolding events with detached interest. Billy and Zara exchanged a determined look. Without a word, they sprinted towards the lower levels, their enhanced physiology allowing them to move at incredible speeds. They arrived at a scene of destruction. Mutated humans, their bodies twisted and pulsing with uncontrolled energy, were tearing through the station's corridors. At their head stood Joe Benson, his once handsome features now grotesquely distorted. The future belongs to the pure, Benson roared, hurling a bolt of crackling energy at a group of fleeing civilians. Billy reacted instinctively, throwing up a shimmering energy barrier that absorbed the attack. Zara, her antennae glowing brightly, sent out a pulse that momentarily stunned several of Benson's followers. As they fought to contain the invasion, Billy and Zara found their actions becoming perfectly synchronized. Their mental link deepened, allowing them to anticipate each other's moves with uncanny precision. In a moment of desperation, facing a particularly powerful mutant, they reached out to each other mentally. Suddenly, their consciousness merged, their individual selves blurring into a single, unified entity. With this new shared power, they unleashed a wave of energy that incapacitated a dozen mutants at once. The battle raged on, with Billy and Zara at its center. They moved as one, their abilities complementing each other perfectly. As they fought, they became aware of the Progenitors' presence, observing their every move with keen interest. Finally, they cornered Joe Benson in a maintenance bay. The mutant leader's eyes blazed with madness and uncontrolled power. "You're abominations," he snarled, lashing out with tendrils of dark energy. Billy and Zara dodged the attack, their movements fluid and coordinated. They could sense the pain and fear behind Benson's rage, the human being lost within the monster he'd become. "We need to subdue him without killing him," Zara thought. "Agreed," Billy responded. "On three." Moving in perfect unison, they launched a combined assault. Billy created a series of energy constructs to limit Benson's movements, while Zara used her telepathic abilities to try and calm his frenzied mind. The struggle was intense, with Benson's raw power matched against their precision and teamwork. Just as it seemed they might be overwhelmed, a wave of golden light washed over the room. The Progenitors had arrived. With a gesture, the lad Progenitor neutralized Benson and his remaining followers. The mutated humans collapsed, their bodies shimmering as their mutations stabilized. As the immediate danger passed, Billy and Zara found themselves the center of attention once more. The Progenitor's voice echoed in their minds. "You have demonstrated great potential. The time has come for the next phase of your evolution." The implications of those words hung in the air as the assembled delegates, still reeling from the attack, turned to face the cosmic beings who held their fate in their hands. The tension in the room was palpable as the delegates processed the Progenitor's words. Admiral Xanthor broke the silence, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We must convene immediately to discuss this proposal. The implications are staggering." As the delegates filed out of the room, Billy and Zara remained rooted in place, their minds still reeling from the battle and the Progenitor's pronouncement. Dr. Chen approached them, her eyes wide with a mix of scientific curiosity and concern. "Are you two all right?" she asked, scanning them with a handheld medical device. "The energy readings from your combined assault were off the charts." Before they could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Admiral Xanthor's voice crackled over the intercom. "All personnel to battle stations. We have multiple unidentified vessels approaching from the asteroid belt." Billy and Zara exchanged a determined look, their telepathic link humming with shared commitment. Without a word, they sprinted towards the command center, their enhanced physiology allowing them to outpace the panicked crowd. They burst into the bustling command center, just as the main view screen lit up with the image of a familiar face. Princess Cora, Zara's former rival, sneered at them from the bridge of a sleek Yadaran warship. "So the abominations still live," she spat, her eyes narrowing. "We will not allow this genetic pollution to continue. Yadera must remain pure." Admiral Xanthor stepped forward, his antennae twitching with agitation. "Princess Cora, stand down immediately. This is a clear violation of—" His words were cut off as the station shuddered under the impact of the first volley. Cora's fleet had opened fire. "Billy, Zara," the Admiral barked, "coordinate our defense systems. Your unique abilities may be our best chance at repelling this attack." The couple nodded in unison, moving to a pair of control stations. As they interfaced with Harmony's systems, their mental link deepened, allowing them to process information at an unprecedented rate. General Marcus Steele's face appeared on a secondary screen. "We're scrambling our hybrid squadron now. These pilots are the best of both worlds. They'll show those rogues what real integration can do." As the battle unfolded in space, Billy and Zara worked in perfect synchronization, their movements a fluid dance of efficiency. They anticipated each other's actions, maximizing the station's defensive capabilities while providing tactical support to Steel's fighters. The hybrid pilots proved their worth, their unique physiology allowing them to pull off maneuvers that would have incapacitated a purely human or Yadaran pilot. They weaved through the asteroid field, using the space debris as cover while picking off Korra's ships one by one. Inside Harmony, Dr. Chen burst into the command center, her tablet displaying a cascade of data. "Admiral, we have a situation on Earth. The plant life, it's interfacing with our technology." She pulled up satellite imagery showing vast networks of bioluminescent vegetation spreading across continents, enveloping cities and infrastructure. Global communications are going haywire. It's like the planet itself is evolving. As they grappled with this new development, a golden light filled the room. The progenitors had arrived, their ethereal forms pulsing with almost unchecked power. The time for deliberation has passed. Their collective voice resonated in everyone's minds. "Your species stand at a crossroads. We offer guided evolution, stability for your world, and protection against threats like these." They gestured towards the ongoing space battle. "But this gift requires sacrifice. A significant portion of your populations must undergo the process willingly." The command center erupted into chaos as delegates argued vehemently. Some saw it as their only hope for survival, while others viewed it as surrendering their autonomy to an alien power. Amidst the heated debate, Billy felt a tugging sensation in his mind. Through their link, he sensed Zara had noticed it too. Something was wrong. A proximity alarm blared, cutting through the din. Admiral Xanthor's eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible? Joe Benson has escaped containment?" Security footage showed Benson and his mutated followers rampaging through the lower decks, their unstable powers wreaking havoc on critical systems. The station's integrity was compromised, compounding the external threat posed by Korra's assault. Billy and Zara shared a look of relentless drive. In that moment, they knew what they had to do. "We'll do it," Billy announced, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We volunteer for the guided evolution." Zara nodded, squeezing his hand. "We've come this far together. Whatever happens next, we face it as one." Their declaration stunned the room into silence. The progenitors' forms shimmered with what might have been approval. "Very well," they intoned. "Follow us." As Billy and Zara were led away, the station rocked with another impact. Princess Korra's voice rang out over the comms, filled with righteous fury. "I will not allow this abomination to continue. Prepare to be boarded." The couple quickened their pace, following the progenitors to a sealed chamber deep within Harmony's core. As the doors hissed shut behind them, they could hear the distant sounds of battle drawing nearer. Inside the chamber, a swirling vortex of energy pulsed at its center. The progenitors gestured towards it. "Enter and embrace your new forms." Billy and Zara clasped hands, their mental link thrumming with a mixture of fear and excitement. Together, they stepped into the light. As the energy enveloped them, their consciousness expanded. They could sense the station around them, feel the ebb and flow of the battle raging outside. Their bodies began to change, cells reconfiguring at a dizzying rate. In the corridors of Harmony, two forces converged on the evolution chamber. Princess Korra, clad in an advanced battlesuit, led her elite warriors with singular purpose. From another direction, Joe Benson and his mutated followers advanced, driven by their twisted ideology. General Steele and Admiral Xanthor rallied their combined human Yadaran forces, determined to protect Billy and Zara at all costs. The station had become a war zone, the fate of multiple species hanging in the balance. Inside the chamber, Billy and Zara's transformation neared its completion. Their minds touched the edges of a vast cosmic awareness, glimpsing the true scope of the progenitor's grand design. As alarms blared and the station shuddered under the assault, the chamber doors began to glow with heat. Princess Korra's voice rang out, filled with venom. "Come out and face your judgment, abominations!" From the other side, Joe Benson's unhinged laughter echoed through the corridor. "The future belongs to the pure. We'll cleanse this station of all alien filth. The chamber doors buckled under the combined assault. As they began to give way, the energy vortex surrounding Billy and Zara pulsed one final time. The transformation was complete. The doors exploded inward, and Princess Cora and Joe Benson rushed in, weapons at the ready. They stopped short, eyes widening at the sight before them. Billy and Zara stood hand in hand, their bodies radiating with newfound power. Their eyes, now swirling with otherworldly energy, fixed on the intruders. "You wanted to see the future," Billy said, his voice resonating with newfound authority. Zara continued, her tone equally commanding, "Allow us to show you." As the two factions readied their attacks, Billy and Zara raised their free hands in unison, preparing to unleash their newly acquired abilities. The fate of harmony, Earth, and the future of human-Yadaran relations now rested in their transformed hands. Hands. A blinding flash of light erupted from their joined palms, forcing Princess Cora and Joe Benson to shield their eyes. As the radiance faded, Billy and Zara stood transformed, their bodies emanating an otherworldly aura. Billy's skin shimmered with a subtle metallic sheen, his eyes now swirling pools of cosmic energy. Zara's form seemed to flicker between physical and ethereal states, her hair floating as if suspended in zero gravity. They moved in perfect unison, their actions fluid and precise. Without a word, Billy extended his hand toward Cora's advancing forces. The air around them shimmered, and suddenly the Yadaran warriors found themselves moving in slow motion, as if trapped in a localized field of altered gravity. Confusion and panic spread through their ranks as they struggled against this invisible force. Simultaneously, Zara focused her attention on Benson's mutated followers. A translucent barrier of psionic energy materialized, encasing the group in a shimmering dome. They pounded against the walls, their twisted forms contorting with rage, but the shield held firm. Cora snarled, activating her battlesuit's thrusters to break free of the gravitational field. "What trickery is this?" she demanded, her voice imbued with a mixture of awe and fury. Benson, his eyes wild with madness, hurled bolts of unstable energy at the psionic barrier. "You can't contain us forever," he shrieked, his mutations pulsing with each attack. Billy and Zara exchanged a glance, their mental link humming with shared purpose. They reached out simultaneously, touching the minds of their attackers. In an instant, the chamber was filled with gasps and cries of shock as the combatants were bombarded with visions of cosmic scale and unity. Many of Cora's warriors lowered their weapons, overcome by the sudden expansion of their consciousness. Several of Benson's followers collapsed to their knees, overwhelmed by the glimpse of a greater purpose beyond their twisted ideology. But Cora and Benson pushed forward, their convictions too deeply entrenched to be swayed by this mental intrusion. Cora activated her suit's energy blade, lunging at Billy with deadly precision. Benson, drawing upon his mutated powers, hurled a barrage of energy bolts at Zara. The evolved couple moved with inhuman speed and grace. Billy sidestepped Cora's attack, his hand brushing against her suit's power core. In that brief contact, he manipulated the energy flow, causing the battlesuit to power down. Cora stumbled, suddenly encumbered by the suit's dead weight. Zara danced through Benson's assault, each energy bolt missing her by mere millimeters. She closed the distance between them in the blink of an eye, her fingers gently touching Benson's temples. His attacks ceased abruptly as his eyes widened in shock. In that moment of contact, Zara forged a mental bridge between Cora and Benson. Their minds, so long consumed by hatred and fear, were suddenly awash in each other's experiences, memories, and deepest insecurities. Cora saw flashes of Benson's life, the pain of rejection, the fear of a changing world, the desperate need to belong that had driven him to extremism. Benson, in turn, felt the weight of Cora's responsibilities, the crushing pressure of maintaining Yadaran purity, and the deep-seated fear of her people becoming obsolete. The two leaders reeled from the intensity of the exchange, their worldviews shaken to the core. Cora's knees buckled, and she braced herself against a nearby console. Benson staggered backward, his mutations receding as the fight drained out of him. "Stand down," Cora whispered, her voice hoarse with emotion. "All forces, stand down." Benson, his eyes clearing of their manic gleam, echoed the command to his followers. "It's over," he said, his tone heavy with realization. "We've been fighting the wrong enemy all along." As the sounds of conflict throughout Harmony gradually subsided, Billy and Zara turned to address the assembled delegates, progenitors, and Zorax. The couple stood hand in hand, their evolved forms a testament to the potential that lay within both species. "What you've witnessed here is just the beginning," Billy began, his voice resonating with newfound authority. Zara continued seamlessly, "We've seen a glimpse of what's possible when our species truly come together, but we understand that change can't be forced or rushed." They outlined their vision for integration academies, places where willing human Yadaran pairs could undergo a gradual, controlled version of their transformation. The process would take years, allowing individuals to adapt at their own pace while preserving their unique cultural identities. The progenitors, their forms shimmering with approval, stepped forward. "This solution honors the spirit of our experiment while respecting the autonomy of your peoples," they intoned. "We will provide the necessary guidance and technology for these academies." As discussions began in earnest about the implementation of this new initiative, Billy and Zara's attention was drawn to a flurry of incoming transmissions from Earth. Dr. Chen's earlier warnings about the planet's evolving plant life had come to fruition in an unexpected way. The global network of bioluminescent vegetation had reached a critical mass, forming a vast, interconnected consciousness. This new planetary intelligence had merged with human and Yadaran communication systems, creating a harmonious blend of nature and technology. Reports streamed in of stabilizing genetic mutations, ecological restoration, and unprecedented advancements in sustainable energy and food production. The chaotic changes that had threatened to tear the planet apart were now being channeled into a new era of balance and progress. As the immediate crisis on Harmony subsided, Billy and Zara found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of activity. Delegates clamored for more information about the integration academies, while scientists and engineers began drawing up plans for the first facility to be built on the station itself. Princess Cora and Joe Benson, still reeling from their shared mental experience, approached the evolved couple. The hostility in their eyes had been replaced by a mix of uncertainty and cautious hope. We may have been wrong," Cora admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Benson nodded, his earlier bravado replaced by humility. "How can we help make this work?" Billy and Zara exchanged a smile, their mental link thrumming with shared satisfaction. They knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time since the Zorax arrived on Earth, the path to true harmony between humans and Yadarans was clear. As the station's systems returned to normal and the immediate danger passed, Billy and Zara made their way to Harmony's observation deck. They stood before the vast window, gazing out at the star-studded expanse of space. Their reflection in the glass showed two beings no longer fully human or Yadaran, but something gloriously in between. "We've come so far," Billy murmured, squeezing Zara's hand. "And we have so much further to go," Zara replied, her eyes sparkling with the light of distant stars. As they contemplated the future they would help shape, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Admiral Xanthor's voice crackled over the intercom, tinged with urgency. "Billy, Zara, report to the command center immediately. We're detecting anomalous energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. It appears we have more visitors."
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.